G'day and welcome back for more Survival Impossible. I am, as mentioned at the end of the last episode, going to be leaving this base soon, but there are a few things I need to do before I depart, and that is mine a whole bunch of this ice, enough that I fill the tanks on the Panini, and enough that I can probably charge up the batteries on the Panini and this base before leaving. So that means quite a bit of ice needs to be mined. One of the things that's a limiting factor to how much ice I can mine at the moment is that the base doesn't have enough cargo for me to keep offloading into it. So I think, rather than having 6 of these bell-shaped or ball-shaped tanks, I'm going to get rid of these 2 and turn these 2 into cargo. I was looking at the rest of the base and I wasn't really happy with anywhere else I could put large cargo containers. I could extend the platform out this way and add more, but the platform's already pretty big. I thought about putting it up where the living area is going to be, and again, cargo containers are huge. I'm going to need landing areas for the splatform and potentially some sort of welding vehicle, so that's going to take up a fair bit of that area. And do I really need 6 full tanks here? When the Panini can only carry 2, it's not so bad if it empties half of it out and then it gets regenerated. So I probably don't need 6. Which means I'm going to get rid of this one. And this one. And in their place, I'm going to use the new industrial cargo containers. Which means I need some interior plate. I was looking at the design of these and thought that placing them this way could look kind of cool. Because they've got this sort of base on them that looks attached to the plate that it's resting on. And that way, this side of the base, well, this area of the platform is all kind of the industrial stuff and the cargo, and then this side is all the fuel, which should look a bit, well, hopefully it'll look nice coming in and flying into it. Who knows? Anyway, I need to build one of these so that I can keep mining. I'll need to build this pipe connection to the top of it. I don't need to build both of the cargo containers because obviously one large cargo container holds a huge amount of stuff. And I think that Humboldt is going the right way, thankfully. But I thought I'd place down both so I remembered that that's where I was planning on having it. I kind of like that these things are so chunky that looking at this side of this platform now, it's pretty much completely obscuring what's going to be behind it with all this industrial machinery and stuff. Which is kind of cool. Okay, connected. Now it's time to do a whole lot of mining. I also do wonder if I'm going to have to extend the length of my rails. Oh, nuts. I have overloaded my drills. Can I just throw some stone out? Oh, that might have been enough. There goes the boulder. Oh, good to know that works. I'm glad I piped up the cockpit in the end. I am guessing stone is more dense than ice. Considerably so. There's not too much difference in volume here, 100 litres, but there's 1,500 kilos almost of mass. So yeah, stone is a lot more dense than ice. Gotcha. That would explain everything. Oh, that's going to be a bit of an issue. Because most of the stuff that I'm going to end up getting from the last bit of my mining is going to be stone, so the drills are likely to get very heavy again. 70,000 ice from the first run, which was mostly stone. I reckon before this day's out I'm going to need to extend these rail lines, but it does slightly worry me, since the further the rail lines go, the closer I get to that base that's just on this ice. And that's probably not a good thing. Oh, I just had a really bad thought. Capac always goes on about how I create doom holes. I am making one right now, and it is really near a spot where I walk. I should be okay if I manage to survive the fall down to the bottom, because I, in theory, should be able to connect to the splatform to come and pick me up. However, it does make me wonder if I should potentially consider building a ramp down to the bottom of this hole, just in case. So I do have a way back out. Build that ramp ahead of time instead of taking the chance that I'm sure I'll have my drill on me and enough power to get back out. Ow. Dang it, forgot to fill up on my water before I left. Come on, drills. Come on, come on, come on. But right now I have 2 hydrogen engines running, 2 large grid hydrogen engines running, and we are still slowly filling up with hydrogen. Have 315,000 kilograms of ice in the large cargo container. So I'm feeling like this is getting close. I really want to get this to the point where all of my batteries are pretty much full. But that's still feeling like it's going to be a long way off with it being 3 hours away. I don't know that I'm willing to wait quite that long, but I remember what I was thinking when I left the main base to come here, which was I want to bring back hydrogen to turn into power. So if I bring back hydrogen to turn into power to charge the thing that's brought the hydrogen, that kind of seems self-defeating. Just a bit. Even though by now the main base should be well and truly maxed out on charge in all of the batteries because it's been effectively idle for so long because I haven't been there. At least, hopefully it's full of charge and not completely out of charge, because that'd be bad. And I have pretty much filled this cargo container. Almost 700, there we go, 700,000 kilograms of ice. Yeah. How about these tanks? 16.6%. That's while the engines are running. Once I stop the engines from running, I should be able to fill them. But how are the batteries looking? I think these ones are the ones on the Panini. That's not too bad. 2/3 full. That's not too bad at all. At least I think those are the ones on the Panini. I really want to get back to the main base because I have an idea of exactly what type of magnesium miner I want to build. And I don't want to build more stuff here overnight. But I can't do any more mining. I could build another cargo container and try and fill it up, I guess. It's probably not a bad plan, actually. Have 2 large cargo containers full of ice and then get out of here. This drilling has been incredibly effective so far. Compared to the amount of resources that I'm used to in this scenario, in this series, the amount of ice I'm getting is just phenomenal. And all done with very little power usage. Like, this tram is incredibly power efficient for moving around. I don't think I've ever set its batteries on recharge, and while sitting here drilling, it's still got 20 hours of power. If only it was easier to build effective tram lines and rail lines around the place, then you could build tons of things like this in survival and just load up on huge amounts of resources with a lot of effort required to construct the things, but still, huge amount of resources. I kind of like the idea of doing this more for an ice mine though, because I fully expect, given I don't expect to get access to uranium anytime soon, that the hydrogen engines are going to be some of my most effective ways of getting lots of power quickly. So I'm going to burn through a lot of this ice, which means I'm going to need to keep mining more and more and more of this. I've also, I think, modded, when I originally made the mod, the ice to produce less hydrogen per unit volume, so I actually have to mine more of it. Which means a large mining rig like this makes more sense because you're going to need that much volume. And I do not expect to get ion for anything anytime soon. I mean, heck, I still haven't gotten silver for a med bay. Oh, I actually don't have all that much iron left. 4,000, 10,000. I must remember that when I return, that I should bring more materials with me. Turns out I used a lot more than I thought I was going to. Might even have to get the launch air base to fling some more iron down at this rate. The other thing I can do is go and mine the bit that's just stone at the back end of this hole. That might give me enough iron to get by. I think I might be nearing the end of the amount that I can actually mine from here, so I think this is my last run. I'm very, very close to the end of the rail, and I'm also getting disturbingly close to that research base, which means I probably should stop going that direction. Thankfully, I have, with this load, probably just a bit under 1,000,000 kilograms of ice. That should be adequate for my needs for the moment, I think. Oh man, even with 5 large grid O2H2 gens and 2 small grid ones, these tanks are so slow to fill. Am I still using up fuel somewhere? That one's off, 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 that one's off. I don't know. I shouldn't be using fuel anywhere. It's just that these tanks are huge and it's taking forever. This is why I need to have tanks on the base. In fact, this is probably why I should go and build one before I leave, because then at least one tank will be full when I get back. Or should be. I'll see if I can maybe build 2. I wonder when they're going to fix that bug with the hand. So it always looks like you're holding a drink. I was about to start building some scaffolding and then I remembered I've got this little thing that I almost got into the wrong way. Oh, man, I love this platform. It's so good. It's so easy to use. And it actually does what I designed it for. It's so difficult. Oh man, I can't believe I just did that. Talking it up. Of course, that's when things go wrong. No! Whoopsie. Just slightly toasted that fuel tank. And while I've been doing this, how close have these tanks got to full? Seriously? They're only at 38.5%? Oh man! This is taking so long. I'm going to be waiting all night just for this thing to fill with fuel. How's my ice supply going? Still got 700,000. I wonder if this is down to the Survival Less Likely mod, which reduces the efficiency and the yield from ice. Because I've mined a lot of ice, and you'd think I'd have filled 2 large hydrogen tanks by now. I'm not complaining, I'm just surprised. I actually think this situation kind of creates something cool, which is a genuine need for logistics, because I'm going to need to mine so much ice. Like, I reckon there's a possibility I'm going to have to figure out how to do some switching for these tracks after I've mined most of the way out into the ice lake with the rate this is going. Which is really, really cool. Because normally in Space Engineers, it's quite easy to get enough of something that you don't need to keep going back for more. I used to really love the idea of the deep scarce ores mod, which made giant ore deposits underground that were very, very deep. So you had to build some infrastructure to get down there. But the reality was you didn't need to build an in situ mine for it because you just never needed enough of the stuff that was there to justify having such a large mine. And I was saying a week or two ago, this place is heaps bigger than I need it to be. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it actually isn't. Maybe I need to make it, or at least the componentry over here, bigger so I can fit more O2H2 gens. Maybe I need the tram to be able to mine even quicker than it does. That's crazy. I kind of love that I'm going to need to use this tram a lot. Considering the effort that went into building it, I am really happy about that. It also means that I will feel more justified when I go and try and paint it and make it look a bit more interesting, because right now it's all yellow rusty and it does need to have some extra detail put into it. But I'm not going to be painting it anytime soon, I think. 2 tanks. These will be at about 40%. Yep. Wow. Wow. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to fill them with the amount of ice I've got.
Energy low.
Yeah. I don't think that 1,000,000 kilograms of ice plus the several 100,000 that I'd mined that had already been processed is going to be enough to fill 2 large hydrogen tanks. That is unexpected, very unexpected. Huh. I guess we'll just have to see how much there is. I'm just going to run down here for a second. I think my rail ends pretty much where those light posts are. And yeah, without extending the rail, I'm not going to be able to mine any further. And that research base is getting uncomfortably close. It's 2.95 k's away. I really don't want to go further out on this ice lake. One option I have is making the drills on the winch wider. Like I could put 5 drills on here. That would get me a wider chasm and make it able to get a bit more before I get out there, but I don't know. I think I'll just have to take it as is and know that I don't have all that much hydrogen. Huh. This kind of changes a lot of things. And I wasn't ready for this revelation. It means I really, really, really need to go back and start getting some magnesium so I can defend this place, because this place is going to be used a lot. Huh. Yeah. Haven't got the words. Have not got the words. Does this mean that hydrogen is not a valid fuel source? Do I need some wind turbines and other things down here? Because if hydrogen takes this much effort to generate in volumes big enough for large grid, do I now need to reconsider the way I produce energy down at this base? Or am I only tight because that base is so close? Something for me to think about. Don't have to make a decision around it just yet. Okay, now we're out of ice. Which means, how much is in the tank? 63.9% is all I'm going to get, as that hole for the tram is quite sizable. Time for me to fly back to the main base and start working on a hydrogen miner, which means thrusters on. Thrusters. Why did that group miss so many thrusters? Alright, we should all be on now. Lock. Got to make sure I stay nice and clear of all of the bases, which means going up and over this mountain. I need to go round, swing around that one that's in front of me too. I'm half tempted just to run past those bases and take my chances, but I am now carrying a lot of fuel that took a lot of work to collect. A surprising amount of work to collect. So I probably should be sensible. Go flying off this way. Ooh, actually that's something I should do. GPS. Volta, where's the magnesium? One of these magnesiums I think is an underground magnesium. So my idea was that I'd use this chance to scout out the route that I'd need to take to get to where this underground magnesium deposit is. Oh, now there's a base there. Oh man. I am running out of options for how to travel between these two bases. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Incoming panini. It's coming right across my path. This panini shall not beat another panini. Yeah, where's this magnesium? It's 10 k's off that side. I've just sworn there was one down this way. Have I somehow not marked this? Am I going crazy? If I don't know where this deposit is, there's nothing I can do right. Like, building this mining ship doesn't help me. Mining rover that I'm planning. Is that one 6.5 k's that way? That's almost certainly a polder. This one dead ahead of me seems like it most likely is. I thought there was a deposit over that way. Why do I remember this? I kind of lost my GPS signals. Like, cobalt, silicon, cobalt, iron. No. Okay, maybe it's this way. Maybe my classic sense of direction is the problem. This looks possible. This is an interesting spot if I have to try and get up here. Really? This could be it. This does look vaguely like what I remember. I remembered it being on a cliffside. Oh wow. That is going to be a challenge. Could be a fun challenge, but it's going to be a challenge. There's no way at all I could possibly drive up here. Not without carving my own road. Or welding my own road. I'm just going to make sure this is in fact a deposit. It looks like it. I can see the ore markings on the surface. I know I don't have much power left. I'm just going to try and get down close so I can quickly hop out of the seat and check with my drill. This is terrible terrain. This is so high up as well. At least this shouldn't get shot. I think it's unlikely for any cargo ships to be able to path around here. But wow. That's not nice terrain at all. And I can't tell. I'm just going to have to assume it is what I said it was. Because I'm going to run out of power if I fiddle around here too much. No. Dang it! I was hoping that'd work. I can't get out of this thing. Because I'm worried I wouldn't get back in. Alright. If this is where this is going to be one heck of an engineering exercise to get up here. MG2 is the one I'm heading toward. Because my base is through this mountain. I don't fancy building a tunnel the whole way through. I'm thinking more of building a cliffside road that I dig into the cliff. See if there are any little spots where I can build a little bridge or something cool like that, just for the fun of it. And then, oh wow, come around the mountain here. Possibly start the carving at that little plateau that's in front of me right now. So that looks like I should be able to make myself a path to get up to there. Maybe coming via that snowy bit on the left. I'm going to need markings for this. So this is going to be a route that I will need to traverse a few times and make sure that I take the safe path. So 2 vehicles needed to be built. A miner and a scout. Alright, just need to rebuild the Searchy. The Searchy should be a decent scout. Feels good to be home. What? Oh. For a second I thought that was snapped. I'd be very upset. Feels nice to be back home. Wait a second. It's damaged. Just grab some bits. That must have been damaged when I was last here, and I just didn't notice it and didn't fix it before I left to go down to the ice lake. So the mining vehicle that I'm going to build is quite similar to something I've built before. And that is the mining vehicle that I tried to build. Well, I tried to drive. I kind of succeeded at the building, did not succeed so much at the driving of this in Escape from Purgatory. I managed to build this thing and then have to drive down into a deep crater where I then rolled it and it exploded. And hopefully I've found the footage for that because it was kind of funny when it exploded because it went spinny, spinny, spinny and almost took out all 3 of us. Did it? Whoa! Whoa!
Oh
Whoa!
boy.
Whoa! It's spinning!
It's going nuts. It's out of control.
Oh man. Oh man.
I think it stopped spinning.
I'm going to build something very similar to that. Now, I feel more confident that it's going to work here because I don't have server lag and I am going to do some small adjustments to it to make it work better. Let's pressurize this place. What? 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 Where's the ladybug calling in drones for? Why? Oh no, I can't see any drone coming in. Definitely called for aid though. I have a gun. I do, but I don't have any ammunition for it. Fantastic! Oh no, wait, that's not calling in the drone, that's just calling assist. But then... it'll call... It's been so long. That's just the warning, that's just the alert. I'm panicking over nothing. Heh. Oh, wow. I forgot Capac was still staring at my to-do list. Did totally forget about that. The plan here is I need to build a miner with 2 arms that have drills on them that'll be attached to 2 large cargo containers. So this thing will have a decent capacity for hauling material, which is good because it's going to need it. What sort of base coat should I use for this? Let's do something a bit different. This is going to be a magnesium miner. Let's go... I've got a whole bunch of yellow stuff down at the other mining base. I've got a whole bunch of red and white stuff here. Let's go green. Is that heavy rust? Yeah, that's heavy rust. Green and heavy rust. Oh, maybe not that much saturation. Something like that. And then I'll use like some lighter colors. Maybe some white, maybe some light yellow. Pale yellow against that. Could look nice. Alrighty, so making this with green, starting with the central column. Try and build roughly equally off each end of this thing so that it'll stay nice and centered for Steve's perspective over there, following me from that camera. What I want to do is bring this down a block from the middle, and I'll do that on both sides, and we'll have 3x3 wheels, so there's only needs a 2-block gap. And I'm glad I got the lawn chair base iron with how many missed blocks I'm placing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is one of the areas that I'm going to improve my previous design. One of the obvious issues with it is that this design ends up a bit top heavy. So if I spread the wheelbase out a bit, that's going to be less of a problem because it'll have a wider base and less likely to roll. But the main problem with it when I used it previously was really just I couldn't control it properly with the amount of lag that I had. So I couldn't compensate for the fact that this thing is top heavy and control it sensibly. And also I had a terrible spot for my design, where I had to return to my base. But we know I've got a terrible path to get to where this needs to get to the magnesium. But I'm going to actually carve a lot of that path. And I'm going to build markers, I'm going to build turrets along the route as well. I'm going to make this into something that I can keep going back to that magnesium and keep getting more. Because I don't know where else I'm going to find magnesium. I think I'm incredibly lucky I found that deposit to begin with. For those of you not familiar with it, the previous version, I had the wheels attached directly to this central beam. So this is already an extra 2 meters wider in its wheelbase. Should make quite a big difference. The next thing I'd like to do that's going to be a bit different to before is add some batteries in along the side here. These don't provide much power, but they're moderately weighted blocks. They're nothing compared to an artificial mass block in terms of the real mass of them, but I am never going to be able to build an artificial mass block completely, or at least not anytime remotely soon. And I'd like this to look like it's complete when I start using it. I'd like it to have all of the blocks properly welded up. And that means using something that's, well, a bit of a, what's the term I'm looking for? Compromise. So that I can have that complete block. Alright, let's weld up. Oh, I wonder if I'll have to build some temporary charging facilities along the way. Like, drilling this out, because it's kilometers I'm going to have to drill out as a road, is going to take quite some time. So I might need to build some temporary charging facilities, which I guess I could turn into sandbag type structures, the outposts. So I could build a few outposts along the route with the ability to charge this thing up and also obviously protect it by having turrets. That's probably worthwhile. What I really, really want to do with this road building thing, I do want to, but no reason other than I think it'll look really cool as you drive along it. I want to have some bridges. So I'm going to need to bring along a Splatform version 2 that comes with me so that I can build those things without dying. Which means this truck will probably end up with a little trailer to carry a Splatform on it, as well as carry some extra materials for building things like the outposts and for building the bridges and whatnot. I'm not intending to place much in the way of facilities at the end where the ore deposit is. My plan is always to bring the stuff back as raw ore, which means if I end up finding that this thing's not the easiest to drive long distance, I may design a hauling vehicle solely for getting there and back, and then provide a little parking structure for this to recharge at the mining facility. But I've got big dreams for this thing. Big dreams for this roadway. We'll see how many of them actually get carried out. I have a bad habit of getting distracted from my goals. I'm aware this green color looks utterly horrid right now. I do have an idea of how to make it look better when I'm done. If it doesn't work out, I will get rid of it. But there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to finish this build completely today, especially since I'm building in my proper garage space for building, which saves me a huge amount of energy and time with everything being so easy to access. Okie dokie. Large cargo container. I want it, the first one, to be pretty much dead center over this thing. I want the small ports off to the side. I think that's centered. Yep. And then just make sure I've got the big ports up and back. Yep. So there's my cargo capacity, which is, for a small grid miner, going to be pretty good. I think that'll be a decent haul to bring back, even if I'm using just this as my means of getting to and from the magnesium mine. Building something like this, all heavy and industrial, does make me really wish we'd gotten some of those industrial blocks for small grid. Thinking about what I was saying as we were leaving the ice mine, this garage is one of those bigger constructions that I've actually gotten quite a lot of use out of. And I love that. Especially with how many things I tend to build that are one-shot, throwaway sort of builds. To have built something this scale that's ended up being useful on so many occasions so far is kind of... it makes me happy. I'll try a few different paint schemes with this. The pale yellow seems to work all right with the regular rusty. It's a bit of extra variation. Maybe the wheels would be better in that. Oh yeah. Yeah, do the frame, just the frame in the green. That could work for now. Maybe. Maybe it just looks like vomit. Oh well. Something I was tempted to do was strap a whole bunch of plate under here. And the question is, can I weld this? Resounding no. Okay, well that's just... that's fantastic. Oh. There's a moment. Is there a moment for the other ones? Nope. Really hope Keen fixes that soon. Okay, these drill arms. Start with 1, 2, 3. 3 little small conveyor junctions. And then a pair of hinges on each side. Sure they're oriented the same way. Alright, like that. Get rid of the part. Do my usual shenanigans to double up the power of these things. Then a piston. And then the drills. So that there is one drill arm. We've got the 2 drills on the end. We've got a piston to push them forward. So once I get up to the ore, instead of just being able to move up and down, I can actually push forward into the section that has the ore, then pull back, right click and just get rid of the stone, move forward, do it again, and just kind of get the bit that's got the ore in it first, without having to worry too much about collecting excessive amounts of stone. It should work reasonably well, I think. The reason for having the drills hanging over the wheels is that there's a fair bit of weight in these drills. And if this is really heavy, and there's no wheels here in front of where these hinges attach, you're going to end up with a situation where your vehicle's going to want to tip forward. And I want to really, really carefully avoid that sort of outcome, because I need to be able to control my pitch a lot with this so that I can drill my drivable path all the way to the magnesium. We'll double that on this side. I couldn't make this wheelbase any wider than it currently is, because as you can see, where the drills finish is where the roadway is going to finish, so the wheels need to run within that space. I hadn't thought about this before, but notice with the super rusty thing that the actual drill bits themselves are coloured. That's kind of a reason not to use that paint job on tools like those drills. If you're going to use a rusty skin, just use the regular rusty, because otherwise it covers everything, which looks weird. I guess that's why maybe some of the skins don't apply to build states, just to avoid that happening with more of them. Kind of tempted to go all yellow. Let's see what it looks like. Definitely need to add some extra colour, but I much prefer the yellow over the green. I'll add some extra greys and blacks and stuff in, and some of the warning stripes as we get closer to being finished. But I think that looks a lot better. Why am I putting it there? Is that going to be really, really obstructed? I kind of want to have the cockpit here. I also kind of want to put it up there. But putting it here kind of works with where that port is. I'll put it there. Yeah, my view is going to be directly obstructed by the arms, but at least I'm not setting this thing up heaps taller than the top of this. As one of the things I did in the previous version was put O2H2 gens on top, I'm not going to do that here. I'm hoping I can fit them on the side here with some extra batteries so that we've got plenty of power and the ability to create more if I need to, if I go collect some snow or something. Can I put one in there? No. It's going to be rubbing up against those drills. It's not ideal. Instead, what I could do is one O2H2 gen there. Another one there. These are already piped because they're connected to this arm. So then I can place a big battery here. And potentially even a second one behind it. Then we could have a hydrogen tank. Another hydrogen tank. I'm going to just sneak a few extra hydrogen tanks onto this thing. Not sure exactly how useful the extra hydrogen tanks are in terms of making sure I've got enough power, but it makes me kind of feel better having a bit more of it. Cool. That kind of works. And then I need an ejection system on this side for ejecting out stone. And that's kept it all reasonably low with this only this one bit of the engine above the height of these cargo containers. So this is as low set as it can be with me using large cargo containers. I could have made this flat across and sat everything down a block, but I think having the extra clearance over the tires will make a difference in terms of likelihood of anything getting hit if I go over anything a bit rough. And then because it's a block, I've started using, and I blame Capac entirely, I'm going to put a little exhaust somewhere on this. Purely aesthetic, no function whatsoever. In fact, I could put a pair on these two junctions. I have some smoke coming off this as we drive it around. In theory, I could put a pair of turrets on top of these cargo containers. I'm contemplating it, but I'm also not sure how much it'll really make any difference. Other than making it harder for me to ensure that I have enough clearance above my head. It's not going to hurt, is it? They're pretty light. Maybe just the one at the rear here. Leave this flat. Have just a single turret on it. Just as a reminder that this is a combat zone. And I have faced drones here. Huh. I just noticed. My camera rig had stopped moving. That's going to be interesting for the time-lapse, having it move and then stop. And then move again. Dang it. I love that camera rig so much. I love how well those shots turned out. I love the way they've turned out. I think it's pretty much done. In terms of building all the blocks that are necessary for function. We've got our drills, we've got our cargo, we've got our batteries, we've got the hydrogen backup system. And yeah. Oh, we'll need lights. That's another part of the functional system. We're going to decide where on earth to put the high-powered spotlights on this thing. It tends to be the further you spread them apart, the better. And the further back you can get them without actually blocking some of their beam with the vehicle, the better as well, because the cone is very narrow. But I do want to use the high-powered spotlights because driving at night with normal spotlights is a bit not great. But I'm kind of feeling like they're going to have to just sit up here on top of the cargo container, which isn't likely to be optimal. I guess what I could do is stick them up there, one on each side, and then use some of the offset ones, these ones, down the bottom, so they're going to spread light forward below the drills, and these will be above the drills. So that hopefully I will still be able to see everything that I want to be able to see in front of the vehicle. I still feel like there needs to be something at the front here, and I'm not sure what. Because I don't want to block the drills from coming down. Yeah, this could work. This shouldn't block the drills. Kind of connects that cargo container up. Makes this look a bit more robust. Yeah. Yeah, that's giving it a bit more strength. Or at least making it look like it has a bit more strength. It's been so nice building and not having to worry about time of day. Because it is pitch dark out there. And I had no idea it was nighttime. It's like those days where I spent playing computer games and completely lost track of time. Except I'm playing a computer game building and losing track of time. In both the game and real life. I think that's the majority of what I want to do. Something I've been tempted to try on this build was capping some of these blocks with the piston parts. Just because they've got a bit more shape and interest than trying to stick a single plate on them. Or at least that's part of it. The other part of it is that these are actually able to be welded up right now. So they work a bit better. I say before being unable to weld them. Oh, just delightful! Ah. Yeah, so these are able to be welded up. And that kind of works, I think, on this design. So I think for the reversing lights, I'm going to put these in just as general lights that'll always be on, and then have some reversing spotlights that I can turn on and off when I need them. Because there's a very real chance... Reverse lights... There's a very real chance that these will be needed if I have to reverse out of a hole that I haven't managed to make a way to turn around in yet. And these lights, although they do go out to, I think these ones go to 10? No, they go to 20. Like the interior light. It's still probably not quite far enough. There is a lot of greeble on this thing. A lot more than I've done in a while. I really need to do a paint job on it though. Looks terrible all in yellow. Let's get some water, some food, and then it is painting time. I think that's pretty much all the beams painted in this grey and heavy rust, which breaks this up a fair bit. But I also feel like the conveyors and pistons and hinges should be a different colour, perhaps even the drills. It just feels like doing them a different colour will break this up even more and kind of bring it all finally together. Because the rest of the vehicle is actually the colour of the yellow, pretty close to the colour of the yellow of the conveyor ports. It's what made me think that doing these a different colour would work. And I can always put the piston caps over them and leave them in the yellow rusty, and then could create an interesting look. I've got them on this side, so let's have a look. Yeah. I kind of like this in black.
Energy.
Yeah. You can see just how much of this has changed with this getting a couple of extra tones of grey in there. It breaks up that yellow so much. I wonder how these wheels will look. And where's Rusty? Are they too dark like that? Maybe the wheels are a bit too dark in full black. Yeah. I think I prefer them that than yellow. I'm happy with how this is coming together. Still might have a bit too much yellow on it. And I wonder if I can break that up with some warning in black and white or orange and black. So it's a different tone than the yellow colour of the whole thing. Or do we go... Nope, that's the wrong grey. I want to try and match it pretty much to the grey of the battery. Maybe it just needs to be the black. Okay, I think painting the tanks might have been a bit much. Now that I unpaint them, it now looks too much yellow again. I kind of like the batteries and the hydrogen, the H2O2 gens in black there, that works. Same with the cockpit and this battery and the engine. I just can't decide what to do with these tanks. I think some will be yellow and some will be black. These two in black. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. And I reckon with a few more of these piston parts put on, I'm going to be happy with the result here. I think they work quite well against the black conveyors. They've got such an interesting shape to them as well, as opposed to the plate, which is just flat. And once I've added these in, then the last thing to add will be some warning stripes around it, which I'm hoping I can actually get and weld up. It's weird how you can weld these from the wrong side rather than the side that they actually stick out. Like by getting in here and welding them from this side, it's easy. I wonder if I can get these ones at all. Am I just going to have those build states stuck there? Till Keen fixes it. Oh, got one of them. Just need to try and get that really fine angle, don't you? So you just slightly get behind it. Yeah. And I know these things don't line up to each other, the kind of the hazard stripes, but still like them. Even where they don't quite line up, I think it works to add a bit of extra interest to what's there. I'd say she is done. It does look messy, it does look busy because of the rust paint, but I think I've managed to make it still have some shape and some form by adding the extra grey and black in there. A lot of people will probably say I've overdone the rust, but I kind of want this thing to look worn out. It's going to be a drilling machine. It's going to be pretty hard for something like this in the real world to stay clean, so I want it to look filthy. There may be some fine-tuning things I do in the future, but I'm pretty happy with it as it is. So next time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hopefully get around to starting to make my way toward the magnesium deposit. Before I head off on that journey, though, I need to make a trailer for this, which means I need to figure out how I'm going to put a hitch in the back here, which I probably should have thought about before, but I reckon it'll be easy, just cut out this corner piece. Because it'll not be a piped hitch, because I'll have the connector for any piping hookup. That trailer needs to have a bit of storage, but not a huge amount. Needs to have enough, though, that I can carry the parts to build some outposts along the way, and to carry a splatform on top of the trailer. This thing should have more than enough power to pull something without the trailer actually having the wheels drive, but I might still try and get a programmable block on here somewhere for the subgrid wheel control script if that comes to be a problem, but I'm planning on it being an unpowered trailer. Maybe it'll carry some batteries so it can be an extra power source for this when it's not hooked up. But those are my plans. So there's all that, and plenty more to come. And oh, hang on, before that, no, wait, I'm gonna need a name for this thing. Let me know what your thoughts are. So there's all that, and plenty more to come, and I and this nameless miner will see you then.